everybody, so today I'm going to show you some basic stitches that you can do on your machine. If the audio is trash, I'm sorry, I'm using the iMovie recorder because I'm running out of time to make this. We're going to start with a basic machine stitch. So once you have your needle and your foot all in place, you can put your foot on the pedal and start sewing. So your basic stitch is your go-to. It's just a straight line. It's for small projects. It's for clothing. It's for pillowcases. Any simple thing that you want to sew, you'll want to start with the basic stitch. There it is, and you can do it by hand, but the machine does it a lot faster and a lot more even. But this is the most easy one to do by hand. So the next one we're going to do is the hem stitch, and it's specifically for hemming the ends of things. So if you have a skirt that you want to make shorter, if you have a tablecloth you want to make shorter, you will take up the fabric on the inside and you'll do this hem stitch. And right now I'm adjusting the settings on my machine, which I'll show in a minute when we do the zigzag stitch. But I'm just turning the little knobs. And we'll put everything in place and start going. And you can see the little points from here that the machine makes. And it's actually dragging the needle up and making those points. It just does it so fast we can't really see it. But yeah, that's your hem stitch. And if you ever want to make something longer, you can just rip that stitch right out with a seam ripper. It's meant to come out easily. Cut off your tails. Don't leave them too long or too short. Otherwise, it will snarl and cause problems for you later down the line. Next stitch we're going to be doing, I believe, is the zigzag stitch. And I'm finally showing you the settings. So that is actually a straight stitch, despite how it looks. You adjust the dials based on how wide you want your stitch to be. The main dial will decide the little white thing. Do you see it going back and forth? That is deciding what stitch you're doing, and then it'll generate what settings you need on top here. And you just need to turn the dials to make sure that they match the numbers on the top. Now, this is how it works with a mechanical Janome. Every machine is different. I don't know how your machine does it. The school machines I also know are different, but you can pretty much rely on that kind of system. The machine will tell you what settings you need to make your stitch align. And there's your zigzag. And a handy little thing about zigzag is that it's basically can work as a double enforcer. So if you do a straight stitch and it's a little loose or your fabric's a little bit stretchy and you're wondering if it's going to come out, do a quick zigzag on top of your straight stitch and it will hold it in place just because it is more security because it's covering more of the actual fabric. Now we're going to go up here and we're going to mess around and do some fancy stitches. Turn that dial all the way to the end, and this is stitches that you will barely ever use, but I just kind of want to show you how much variety you can get in your sewing machine like this. So I'm matching all of the numbers. And then this one will take a while, but you'll see at the end that it's a super pretty pattern that would take a really long time to do by hand. And you kind of can repeat this process for any stitch that you make sure all of your settings are aligned on your machine. First, you want to figure out how your machine works, but once you do, it's really easy. And there, look at how pretty that is. So the next stitch we're going to do is called a basting stitch, and this is for when, sorry about my mom's fingers in the way, this is for when you want to make a gather. When you're matching your knobs on the top of the machine, you're going to want to make them a normal straight stitch, except for when your stitch width at the very end says 1.5, make it 5. You want to make sure that the numbers don't match for this because this is the loosest stitch width you can possibly have. You want this to be easy to pull. So it'll look like a straight stitch when you take the needle off, but if you pull on the threads, which you'll see in a moment, it comes out very, very easily. You'll want to leave a super long tail because again, you want to pull on these to create the gathered ruffle. And then just pull on them like this, holding the fabric lightly. And there you go. And it'll look a little messy at first, but after you straighten it out, that will create a gathered ruffled edge.